Now, I wanted to tell you a little story. When the economic meltdown was going on, I went into Cedar Rapids, Iowa in 2009. May 2009, I was going to see Rockwell Collins. It was a leadership meeting with Rockwell Collins. And I get to Cedar Rapids, get to the airport, get my rental car. I've got about 15 to 20 minutes, to get from the airport to the hotel. And I turn on the radio, and there's this voice there talking about this book. Now, do you ever watch the Discovery Channel? They have all these disaster shows. My 18-year-old son, he takes great delight, in putting on a TV show, the world's worst airplane disasters, every time before I'm, going to fly away somewhere. On that show, they've got this guy with this voice. It's the really deep voice. I call him the voice of doom. He's on the radio in Cedar Rapids. And he's sort of talking that, we're going through the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, and there's no hope, and there's no upside, and the only thing you can do to survive is to buy this book called The Ultimate Depression Survival Guide. They ran this commercial 4 times during the 20 minutes it took me to get to the hotel. And I'm thinking to myself, is this the mindset we've brought ourselves to in this country? Where we are so convinced that there's no future that we're going out and buying books called The Ultimate Depression Survival Guide. And one thing I always like to do with my audiences is get a sense of where your mindset is. So we're going to do a little something interesting. In the back room, they're going to do some magic. They're going to pull up a text message poll screen. And I would like you to take out your Blackberries, your iPhones, your iPads, your laptops, whatever device you hope to use, because I want to ask you a question. When do you think we will see an economic recovery? There we go. We know the tech is working into it. So we've got some results. I could have predicted this because I've been running these polls for the last 6 years, and we have 65%, 62% of the room think that the economic recovery is still 6 months to 2 years or more than 2 years away. Think about that. Think about what is happening here. Ask yourself, if you answered that question, you think it's almost here, it's not quite here, ask yourself the question, are you guilty of this idea of aggressive indecision? Are you postponing decisions about things you should be doing with innovation in your business because you're of a mindset, well, it's almost here, but it's not quite here, and therefore, I'm not going to invest. I'm going to postpone the decisions and innovation. Shouldn't be doing that. Look at this. We've got 3% of the room who voted run for the hills. It's all over. These are people who made friends with their minibar last night. They're not feeling good about anything right now. They're a big bundle of negativity. You know what's absolutely so fascinating? I've been doing this poll for the last 6 years. The consistent answer, the majority answer I get everywhere I go across the US is that the economic recovery is almost here, but it's not quite here. And here's a very powerful lesson. The fellow at General Electric did a study, and he looked at what happened in previous recessions. He looked at the oil shock of the 70s, he looked at the downturn of the 80s, downturn of the 90s, the dot-com bust. Remember the dot-com years? Wasn't that fun? The business model was give stuff away at a loss, make it up in volume. He looked at, the various recessions we've been through. And out of the study group of companies, 60% barely got through. They cut costs, they managed, they squeezed, they did what was necessary to survive. 30% of the organizations in the study, they didn't make it. But 10% became breakthrough performers. And that's because they made the implicit decision that we might have economic uncertainty. We might not be certain about when we're going to see, the economy return full-on gangbusters, but we're going to invest now. We're going to do the things right now that we need to be doing to ensure that we're well positioned as we come out the other side. History teaches us that it's in the period of greatest economic volatility when we should be the most focused on innovation. I think that's a very powerful lesson, and so you need to challenge yourself in terms of how you voted on that poll and the mindset that you might have. Are you guilty? Are you suffering from this contagion of aggressive indecision?